65, 65, 65, Church on Sunday, 65, 65. Church on Sunday, 65. Remember, you know, I love you. Now I love you twice. I love you once and love you twice. Church on Sunday, 65. Yeah. And you know, and wow, you know, when you talk about that spiritual voice and the benefits of the peace that will bring you in your life. And just before this video, and I'm talking, you know, I just like, God, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And then the voice goes, just don't worry about what needs to be said and just go and just do it. I'm serious, you know, and it's like, I don't rehearse those things in my mind. They just go. And then it's like, and then I'm like, okay, push that button there. So let's do it. Yeah. Moving forward in faith and doing it. I mean, that's a part of what's going on. That's a part of what's going on. You know, the power that you get from understanding who you are as a spirit, and that you can move forward in faith, which give you peace. Which give you peace. Those who know God know peace. Those who know God know peace. Those who know peace know God. Those who know the aspect of a peace know God. You know, because once you get to the understanding of who you are as a spirit, and God, He will. And I don't think I didn't clearly touch on this one totally in the last video as far as, but I think I said guarantee, because I did talk to somebody that was, you know, just period a person of God, I would say. And I told him, I said, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about this? If you just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I want to mention something to that, but look, if you just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then you had a relationship with God through prayer and meditation, do you think God would reveal himself to you? And he said yes. There was no hesitation to it. He said yes. So I don't care if you're a believer or an unbeliever, a believer looking for deeper meaning in your life, or an unbeliever thinking that, well, prove that God exists. I mean, there's that guy I was talking about. Oh, I want to name his name. I want to name his name. I can't name his name. Because then people will be looking him up and then whatever. So I can't do that. You can't name people's names. No, you can't do that, except they're celebrities and they're, well, anyways, we won't go there either right now. But I mean, this guy's like total unbeliever and everything. And the proof is that God doesn't exist. You know, well, actually, science on the very deeps of science have discovered a supreme being. Okay, so there you have it. And I just don't need to go any further than that. On that one, no, don't need to go any further on. So whether you're, like I said, you're a believer or an unbeliever, you know, and I really, you know, it'd be kind of cool to get a hold of some people who just, you know, they're atheists, they don't believe that God exists or whatever, and say, okay, well, fine, then prove it to me. But the problem you're going to have with those group of people is they're going to have some precognitive opinion of all of it going into it, instead of going into with a clear, clean, open mind, just a clear, clean, and open mind without any expectations, any possibilities, without any expectations at all, okay? Without any expectations at all, thinking that God's going to do that, or God's going to do this, or God's going to do that. I mean, I think if you're a believer, you're going to expect, well, no, God's going to do this, and God's going to do that. That was the thing that I think, one of the reasons why God revealed himself to me in such a big way. Some supernatural, spiritual stuff that you just can't explain away. Just stuff that, like, wow. I mean, just totally got my attention. That's for darn straight and tootin'. Darn straight and tootin'. Darn straight and tootin'. Got my attention. That's for sure. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, pretty much guaranteed. So now, back to what I was mentioning earlier that I said I was going to get back to, is I just happen to be going through, again, Matthew, and I was reading it, and I was talking about how, and Jesus was speaking and everything. And here's the issue that you're going to find probably a little bit. Some of you out there are going to be like, "Oh, what? Really? No, we can't do that." And Jesus, back then, and I don't know, you figuratively speaking, there's some verses out there that says, and if you do this, you need to pluck that eye out, because it's better for you to pluck that eye out and have a bad one that did this than, have one that, it's like, okay, right, and if you did this, you're going to need to chop that hand off and cut it off, and it's like, so let's just be a little reasonable about things a little bit, that that book was written in a time that was long ago and long ago. And, we could probably say that some of that is figuratively speaking, that would necessarily mean taking some serious action about, like, say, for instance, if you commit adultery, but just by looking and lusting after some other woman. So, so I think what the context that you got to take it in more so than anything is the serious aspect in what you're doing. Like, you wouldn't go out and gouge your eye out or cut your eye out and then only have one left. Well, because this eye sinned, and you wouldn't chop your hand off. It's pretty radical, but it kind of puts it into perspective that taking some serious action about not doing those things to begin with, right? Because what do you think? Some of those countries that still have that capital punishment in certain countries, if they get caught stealing, they chop their hand off, so they don't have crime there, so if you think about it, if you went back to so that's pretty serious, don't you think? That's pretty serious, don't you think? To think that in some other countries that they get their hand chopped off if they get caught stealing, and then have to go through life with a stub, because you stole. So I think really more so than anything, when you read these books of the Bible, that you can't take some of it literally, that you need to kind of let it be for what it is and allow it to speak a little figuratively, so that you understand the seriousness of it. Because quite honestly, we obviously got a lot of problems in our world that are wholeheartedly caused because of sin, and again, when I say that, right there in the moment, that sin, because people know they're sinning, right? And so they feel bad about themselves, right? Because they don't feel like pure in the sight of God, right? So they feel bad about themselves, right? It's all about conditioning yourself and the deterrence away from it, because we have to admit that there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of sin in the world, and it hasn't done any good either. Really? a lot of sin in the world has not benefited, the deceitfulness, the lies, the untruths, the heinous crimes, all that. Sinning has not made this world better. If anything, it's taken us down. They're going to take us down. It brings people down. It brings people's self-worth down when you're doing things that you're not supposed to. It affects your self-esteem, all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't mean that you are a bad person and that we don't love you, okay? It doesn't mean you're a bad person and that we love you, okay? Because even if you've done the bad things, you can still go to God and ask for forgiveness, and then you put yourself on the path that don't do those things anymore. Try not to do those things anymore. And if I had to admit to myself, I'm definitely not perfect, and I've definitely had my issues, and I've definitely had my problems, but I'm just a work in progress, because I know God loves me, God forgives me, and God loves me. Because there's been some times where I definitely didn't feel loved and appreciated because of people. So, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because, the world's full of a lot of pain, and to know and to understand that we're loved unconditionally by someone. Yeah. Yeah.